This is Mindy. I am CNY woman, and I'm coming to you from Syracuse, New York. You can check out my channel when you get time. It's CNY Woman Enjoys Yarn Therapy. And I'm just going to do that to kind of angle the camera a little bit. And we'll see who shows up. I am knitting in the round with a circular needle. If you've never done it before, it enables you to make a stockinette, what they call stockinette fabric, which is smooth on one side and bumpy on the other. I'm using some yarn from my stash, which is Patton's Norspun, which is a long discontinued yarn. It's a roving yarn that is 75% acrylic and 25% wool. I'm using a 10.5 needle, although I have highlighted a size 10 needle. There is a choice between aluminum, which is what I'm using, and stainless steel. And there's a very low-cost alternative right now to like Addy stainless steel needles, which are expensive. Yarnspirations is having a sale. They've got 40% off stuff, but they also have velocity needles for $2.49 right now. I may go and buy some of those myself after this live. They just started a big sale, and they're $2.49 a pair right now, or $2.49 a needle right now. You can't get them in all the sizes, but you can get a lot of the sizes, and it might be worth that to do it to go get some nice stainless steel needles for a very, very cheap price. You probably will pay $10 in shipping, but if you get 5 needles, then that will be like $2 extra a pair, which is still under $5 for a circular needle, which is a very good price. So you may want to go check that out. We'll see. Like I said, we're just waiting for people to show up. Here's a couple of people now. Welcome in. I'm working on a sweater. It looks like this. It's the bottom of the sweater. It's going to be stockinette today. I did the ribbing at the bottom a few weeks ago. I'm working on stockinette today, so all I'm going to be doing is knitting around and around and around. So it may not be a super long live. We'll see who shows up and who wants to chit chat. Welcome in, guys. If you're just coming in, my name's Mindy. I'm from Syracuse. I am knitting on a sweater in the round with a circular needle, as you can see. Later, I'll be doing color work, not today, but once I get through the bottom of the sweater. If you have any questions for me, please feel free to ask. I'm using a size 10.5 needle, which is a 6.5 millimeter needle. So you can check that out. There is a sale going on at Yarnspirations today. It's 40% off everything on their site. I believe. And they're velocity circular needles, which I've tagged in this video, are like $2.49 for one, which is a very good price. Even if you paid $10 in shipping, it's still a cheap knitting needle if you were to buy a bunch of pairs of them. And those are stainless steel. The kind I'm using is aluminum, so you can hear that drag when it goes across. You hear the clicking. Stainless steel is a little nicer, so you can check that out. You can get some cheap needles. They're not poor quality, they're just leftovers that they've had. They don't really make them anymore, so they're trying to get rid of them. I may go over and snag a few pairs myself. And yeah, I do let go of my yarn when I throw my yarn. I do let go of the needle. I'm not a flicker, as they say. This is called English style. You can knit another way, which is to hold the yarn in your left hand and just go like this. This is called continental. I don't really do that all that much. I do more, I throw the yarn. That's where I'm faster at throwing the yarn than I am at continental, although I can do both. And I am left-handed, but I learned knitting right-handed. So that was how it was taught. I was taught, I learned from a book, basically, and from my grandmother on my dad's side. She attempted to teach me knitting, and it did not go well. I forgot how to cast on. I learned various things over the years, so that was good. I do have a learn to knit section on my learn to knit playlist on my channel. So if you want to learn how to knit, you can. This is a stitch marker coming up, which marks the beginning of my round. I don't do anything with it except transfer it from one side to the other. You don't knit into it. You don't do anything with it except transfer it. And it's like a bookmark, basically, if you were to use a bookmark in a book. Hi, Shatika. Welcome in. Blessings and crocheting. Hi. Thank you very much, Shatika. Or knitting, she says. Yep. Yep, we probably got audience members doing both, I would imagine. Shatika says, that's how I knit swiftly. Yeah, I pull out some yarn so it's easier to knit, and then I just throw my yarn. I don't hang on to it and flick it or anything like that. I've been knitting for 35 years, almost 36. If anybody wants to chat, feel free to type something in the chat. Wishing you peace and lots of yarn, says Harmon. Thank you, Harmon. I appreciate that. I gotta move my stitch marker, which got stuck on a stitch. Excuse me. I was on earlier doing crochet. I do both on my channel. I knit and crochet. I knit more infrequently than I do crochet. So I'm new to crochet. Are you knitting now or crocheting? So I know it's a dumb question. No question is a dumb question because any question that brings you knowledge is not a dumb question. I'm knitting now. Knitting usually involves two needles that have points on them. Crochet usually involves one hook here that has a hook on one end. So what I'm using is actually what's called a circular needle. I'll try and get it all in frame. This needle has two ends on it that are metal. And then this cord can be either metal, like braided metal, or plastic. This one happens to be plastic. And that cord goes around to this other side and connects to another metal end, like so. You can see that where the end is stuck in there. And I'm using the metal part, the metal ends to knit. And then the rest of the stitches just rest on the plastic cord. But this enables me to go around so I can make round things. Right now I'm working on the body of a sweater. I'm knitting it from the bottom up. So I did the ribbing at the bottom, which is knit stitch, which is here, and purl stitch, which is the bumpy part. And now all I'm doing is knit stitch, which is a pretty basic stitch. It's usually the first one you learn. You can knit flat, not in the round with circular needles as well. You just don't connect your circle when you do it. You basically just turn around and knit back and forth. And you would use a circular needle for usually a large number of stitches. Like this is over 100 stitches, so I'm not going to knit this on flat needles. If I was going to do that, I would knit a front and the back and sew them together. This enables me to make the body of a sweater without having to put in a seam, without having to sew it together. So I'm making the front and the back simultaneously. And Harmon's such a lovely color. Yep, it's purple. it's kind of a bluish purple. I won this yarn in an auction a few years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. A friend and I went to an auction where it was an estate auction and the owner had passed away and they were selling the contents of his house, and he had a yarn shop, and so they sold the contents of the yarn shop too. So I got to bid on some lovely yarn. I did sell some of it at reasonable prices to other people on Facebook Marketplace after I determined that I was not going to use it. I had like 10 balls of Encore color spun that was in white that I sold, like a cream color actually, and then I had 10 hanks or balls of wool yarn that I was not going to use in a project, so I sold those. This I have several balls. I have a lot of balls of purple. I have some of like a dark pink, a light pink, and then I have a blue color. So I'm going to be making a color work sweater out of this, but I'm not doing color work at the bottom of the sweater like you traditionally would. I'm just doing a solid base, and then I'm doing all the color work towards the top, towards the neckline in the yoke part of the sweater, which if you were making the sweater, you make the body by making a tube, and then you make arms, like pretend these are two small tubes right here, and then you go around and you knit the arm, knit the front, you knit around the other arm, you knit around the back, and then you start gradually making that yoke as it comes up. It gets smaller, so you can imagine doing decreases there, and it kind of makes like a trapezoid type of shape or cone kind of shape if you've ever used like a funnel for putting, oil, not oil in your car, but like used a funnel for putting windshield washer fluid in your car, so it won't splash out. It makes sort of a funnel shape. Upside down, if you can imagine that. So that's what I'm doing. But this is all like one, this is the body of it, so it's all one piece construction that's just knitting around and around and around, and it's really boring, but it's a necessary evil to get the sweater done. So I haven't been working on it for a while, so it's like one of those things where I gotta work on it and I might as well do a live while I'm doing it. Doesn't seem boring, it seems rather calming. Thank you. Yeah, because it's repetitive, so it's kind of meditative. think I'm going to call it a day because I don't want to knit too much because it tends to bother my wrists a lot if I knit for a long time. So I'm going to let you guys go. I'm going to take a shower and get dressed. Do my counting video where I'm going to count the number of labels that I used, number of skeins of yarn I used in February. So you can stay tuned for that later. And then I'll probably go out to lunch and then I'll crochet. Have a good one.